You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We are locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night at the podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. My name is James Kademan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and helpful coach to small business owners across the country. And today we are welcoming / preparing to learn from Dustin Heiner, the founder of Master Passive Income, which has got to be one of the coolest phrases ever in the entrepreneurial world. So Dustin, how are you doing today?
I'm blessed, James. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I love just talking to people about how I was able to literally change my life and not work a dead end I call it a job. Your job is you're living just over broke. So yeah. I really appreciate having me on.
Yeah. The job. You know, it's interesting you say that because a lot of times we'll talk with people that have the typical job, you know, whatever they punch in, they're signing the back of the check essentially. But a lot of times I also run into entrepreneurs that own a job rather than a business, which is kind of, I imagine what you're trying to help people with.
That's totally what I love to do. I love having a business that actually runs itself. And so I invest in real estate. And so it literally runs itself. And that's one thing that I also do from now on. Once I quit my job when I was 37 years old. And once I quit my job, I was really blessed to have so much more time because all my expenses were paid for because of my real estate. From there, I'm now able to build many other businesses. I have 4 or 5 other businesses now, but I focus on passive income streams. So I have a river of income with this real estate, and then I have other streams coming in from other businesses that I create that are all hopefully passive income.
All right. Very cool. So how did you end up getting started? What was the light switch moment?
Yeah. So I've always been entrepreneurial in general, like somebody who likes business. And so, I mean, even from a really young age, when I was 13 years old, I had a paper route. You know, I ride a bike with newspapers and throw the papers and bang on garage doors at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I had a paper route when I was really, really young. I had a graphic and website design company. I had a skateboard manufacturing business, owned a convenience store and a pizzeria. I had all these other businesses, but they were all just basically ways that I would work 1 hour and they get paid for 1 hour, but they all weren't that successful. Then I bought one rental property. And as I bought one rental property that made me a minimum of $250 a month in passive income, from there I realized, like, man, I need to get more of these. But I didn't really pursue that. I was still working a 9-to-5 job. So I got to tell you a quick story about this, James. So I was working a 9-to-5 job. So in California, I was working at one of the counties there, doing IT or technology work in one of the counties there, and working just like everybody. We're taught, you go to school, you go to college. I did that, went to college, then you go and get a career. You start a career, you start working there, which I did. I started working for the county, regular desk job, 9-to-5 job, and I'm working there year after year. After about 10, 12, 13 years of working there, my wife and I started having kids. And this quick story that really shows the catalyst that really turned the switch in my mind that I need to do this. So if you're watching this, you could see the 4 kids in the video of my family. And so my wife, as I'm working my regular job, she has our 4th kid. And our 4th child's born, and I went on paternity leave. Now, paternity leave is where the dad stays home with the mom to change diapers and, bond with the baby and all that sort of stuff. And as soon as that's done, I go back to work. I'm back to work for about a week. And on a Friday at about 3:30 in the afternoon, I get a call from my boss's secretary, like the top dog. His secretary gives me a call and says, Dustin, would you please come to the boss's office? And I said, sure, and hung up the phone. And as I'm sitting there at my desk, I'm thinking, why would they be calling me in the office? I haven't been back long enough to do anything bad or good. Like, what's going on? This isn't normal. And as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking back to, well, a month or 2 before I went on paternity leave, there was some rumors or some rumblings that there could potentially be layoffs because the county was running low on funds. And I said, no, I immediately shook that off. I said, there's no way. I have great seniority. My bosses tell me I do a great job. I get reviews. They're great reviews, increases and raises and all that sort of stuff. So I get up and I walk down the hallway to my boss's office. Now, this hallway isn't necessarily long. It's actually a fairly short hallway, but every single step that I take, it feels like the hallway gets longer and longer. And it feels like my feet become lead bricks as I'm walking down the hallway because the weight of everything I could potentially get laid off is starting to rest on me. So I make it through the hallway. I turn the corner and I see my boss's door. His door's closed. And I see his secretary looking at me, and she says, sheepishly, she grins and says, Dustin, would you please have a seat? So I walk over and I have a seat. And she's a super nice lady. And she's consoling me with her eyes because she knows everything about what's going on. I know nothing about what's going on. And
Mhm.
as I'm sitting there, I'm in that chair, just sitting there waiting, and things start going through my head. Well, all these years, 13, 14 years building this career here, was that all a waste? Because now if I get laid off, like that's literally all gone. Then I start thinking, oh my goodness, I have 4 kids. I just had my 4th child, my wife did. How am I going to feed them? How am I going to put a roof over their head? And what does that make me as a father? Does that make me a failure as a father? Does that make me a failure as a husband, as a man that's trying to provide for his family? Well, as I'm sitting there, my hands get all clammy, my forehead gets all sweaty, and opens the door to my boss's office. And out walks a lady, a coworker of mine, with a piece of paper in her hands. And she's noticeably distraught. She's noticeably upset, but not at the same time, she's not crying. But you can tell, James, her world is 100% rocked. And as she's walking past me, my boss says, Dustin, would you please come into the office? I get up and I walk into the office and I get laid off. And remember, this is the government. Nobody gets laid off or fired from the government, but I
No.
did. And so I get my layoff notice and I walk back down that hallway and I sit down at my desk. And right then and there, James, I realized 2 things literally sitting right there. I said, number one, I need to get another job. I need to be able to provide for my family, put food on our table, roof over our heads. So I was really blessed, praise the Lord, to be able to find another job in the same county. Another department, the sheriff's department, was hiring. They needed an IT person. I was like, praise the Lord, I jumped right over there and I was working there, didn't even get laid off. It was such a blessing. And then sitting in that chair also, I said the second thing that I realized was I need to make sure I never, ever let this happen to me again. And make sure that nobody has the power to take away the ability for me to feed my family. So sitting right there, I realized that now I need to, now instead of, if anybody ever asks me, because everybody gets this question, what do you do? And that question's basically asking me, hey, Dustin, what value do you put on yourself?
Mhm.
And I used to always reply, just like everybody, well, I do IT work for the county. I basically reply with my job, my job. From that point forward, I said, no way will I ever say that. No way is my value in my job. And everybody listening to this, you need to realize your value is not in your job. In fact, I'll give you a reason why you know that. Your boss is only paying you enough to keep you working without quitting, but not so much as taking money out of their pocket. So your worth is so much more than anybody can ever pay you. So as I'm sitting there, I realize now, I knew I should be an investor. Now that point said, I told myself, I am now an investor. Anytime anybody asks me that question, Dustin, you are an investor. So I would answer that question, I am an investor. Now it may so happen that 100% of my money comes from my job. That's now my part-time job. I am a full-time investor. Now, as I did that, I went over to the new county department, started saving money, bought the next property, saved more money, bought the next property. Year after year, bought property after property after property, each one making me a minimum of passive income of $250 a month. Some were making me $300, $400, $500 a month in passive income. After 20 properties, now I have 30 plus properties, but after 20 properties, I was 37 years old. I'm like, man, why am I still working here? I'm 37 years old. I don't need to work here. I'm making $75,000 a year, but I'm losing money. So I'll round out the story by telling this. James, I went to my new boss's office, great boss and everything. I gave him a layoff notice. I said, you have 2 weeks, basically, I just jokingly, but I gave him a 2 weeks notice and said, boss, I'm done. And my boss said, well, Dustin, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm not going to do anything. I literally have real estate. I don't have to do anything. So as I walk to my car, and this is a 1.5 mile walk, I worked at downtown Fresno. I didn't want to pay for parking, so I parked far away where I have to pay for parking. But I've taken this walk literally 1,000 times. Now, as I'm walking this walk for the very last time, if you remember, contrast that walk that I took to my first boss's office, where it felt like I was having lead bricks. Well, I felt like I was walking on clouds because I realized, because of all the hard work, because of the real estate investing, because of telling people now my value is in my business. I'm an investor. My value comes from my God, comes from myself and my family, because of all that, I am now walking on clouds because I will never, ever need a job again. So I'll pause everything to say, you probably got a lot of questions, but that's what catapulted me into becoming an investor.
All right. So do you think that if you would have not gotten laid off, that you would have gone down this path?
I honestly don't know if I would have. And the reason
Okay.
why is because I was always down businesses, and I
Mhm.
was always down, like, I wanted to start a business. And the worst ones are where you basically own a job.
Mhm.
And all of my bosses would be my customers. Like, I had a convenience store, and all of my bosses were my customers that would come in the door. If they did not come in the door to spend money, I'm not getting paid. And I was like,
Mhm.
man, this is just not good. So that's the route that I was going. But then once this happened, I realized that I need to make money without working.
Mhm.
And that's what was the catalyst to say, I need to make sure that all my eggs are in the real estate investing basket.
All right. Yes, you stopped trading time for money,
100%.
which is a terrible trade.
Well, and
That
that's why I came up with the name Master Passive Income. Because as I was thinking about this, so here's what's funny. As I was quitting my job, coworkers, family members, friends kept asking me, well, Dustin, how are you going to provide for your family without working a job? And I said, well, I have real estate. And the second question is always, well, can you show me how to do it?
ah.
And so I would show friends and family members. I've actually got, at the beginning, I got dozens of family members and friends to actually invest, to be able, lots of them to quit their job because they were investing. And I thought, you know what? This has taken a lot of time. It's good spending a lot of time with my friends and family members, one-on-one coaching, but one-on-one, it takes a lot of time. Even though I enjoy it, it's a
Mhm.
lot of work and a lot of time. So I said, there's got to be a better way. So what I did was I created Master Passive Income. That's my online business where I wrote a book, how to quit your job with rental properties. I'm not very creative with titles or anything at all. So it's straightforward. How to quit your job with rental properties. Created a podcast, the Master Passive Income podcast, where it's literally just me teaching how to invest in real estate. My YouTube channel, my Master Passive Income YouTube channel, the same thing, teaching this real estate courses, coaching, doing all this stuff. And the reason why is because at 37 years old, I'm like, man, I'm getting bored just not doing anything. Like
Ah.
I have so much more time to spend with my family, but my family's like, hey, go away. We got schoolwork to do. I'm like, oh, okay. So anyways, I'm blessed with my money and my time and my relationships. So I was like, you know what? It's time for me to give back. And so that's why I love jumping on podcasts and obviously meeting great people like you, but then
Mhm.
also sharing that if I can do this, anybody can do this. And I'll lead by this also, saying that I'm not that smart. More than likely, everybody on and listening to this is so much smarter than me that they can do this. If I can do this, literally anybody else can.
Mhm. Well, maybe, right? With a little bit of guidance. It's all good. I want to
Absolutely.
backpedal a couple steps though, because you mentioned some other businesses that you started that didn't work out so hot. So you
Yeah.
mentioned convenience store, which to me, I'm just like, whoa, who in the world would start one of those? I understand that there's a market for it, but I just think, and you're coming from a guy, I used to be a beer delivery guy. So when
Oh
you're
yeah.
stopping at these convenience stores, I'm like, oh my gosh, early in the morning, late at night, finding people stocking 5 million things.
Oh, it's not fun. I'm never doing it again.
You got to tell me
Never.
what made you decide to start a convenience store?
That's a great question. So it was actually my dad. He was a manager at Denny's, manager many, many years, saved up a lot to retire, but then he bought a convenience store and was a sole proprietor of the convenience store. So he's been doing it for like 10 years. And I was like, well, he's making good money. And he would obviously tell me how much he was making, kind of like rough numbers. I was like, you know what? I could probably do that. But I also didn't want to be a sole proprietor. I hired employees. I just wanted to run the business and have employees run it. And so I started my own convenience store because I helped my dad. I knew everything about the business. I understood it. Like
All right.
it wasn't that hard. So I started it, then realized, oh my goodness. Well, sorry, let me take that back. I started in 2007, 2008 ish. In fact, I started investing in 2006. My rental
Okay.
properties, 2006, all through the crash, still made money whether the market went up, down, or sideways because I invest in passive income. But
Nice.
the convenience store I started in 2007. 2007 was going well. 2008 was going well. But what happened in 2000, end of 2008, 2009? The crash, the real, or like the entire economy crash. Then my store went, it just went down. Sales went
Oh,
down.
really?
We were in a downtown area where there's a lot of just businesses and organizations traffic, and they were laying off people. So we had just less and less customers coming in. It was just rough. So literally never do that again. I only build passive income type businesses now.
Mm-hmm. I get it. And what was one of the other businesses you mentioned that you started?
Skateboard manufacturing is one.
Skateboard manufacturing. That sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. It was terrific being able to make skateboards and sell them, seeing other people riding them and taking pictures of them riding. It's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's a lot of work and there's
Mhm.
not very much profit. And there's a lot of work to build them, but then also it's really competitive. There's a lot of big name companies that sell skateboards. You have to get in the stores. You can sell them online, which I was doing a little bit. It's just a lot of work. But then
Mhm.
again, it's still, you got to produce a product and your customer is your boss. Yeah, they have to buy from you and you have to find a new boss every new time.
Mhm. So were these skateboards that you designed?
So I had and I don't do this anymore, but I had a partner when I was young. I was young and had partners. Literally, I'm old enough now and plenty enough business experience to say I'm never going to have a partner. I'll have investors. They'll invest with me. I'll
That
buy
is
properties and all that sort of stuff.
that's
Yeah,
awesome right there. It's
yeah.
beautiful right there.
I won't have partners, but I'll have investors. So I had a partner. He had great designs. I was the business guy, and it turns out I did all the work. So that's why I'd never do partners again. But yeah, so he did the designs. We did all the manufacturing and all that sort of stuff, and I did most of the sales and all that stuff.
All right. So I mean, you were trying. I imagine you had to bring in supplies, put
Yes.
them together. I mean, were you there with a screwdriver, a wrench,
Oh
whatever it
yeah.
was?
Well, because I was young, I was like 21, 22.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, well, yeah, we weren't making much money at the time. And so it was like, let's just see if we can make it ourselves. And then
Yeah.
from there, sell them. And then from there, see if we can grow the business. And then after a while of me doing all the work, I was like, it's not worth it. I literally have half the business, half the income, 100% of liability. This is a waste of time. I'm doing all the work. So I'm doing 100% of the work. It was just bad. So I said, I'm done. I'm moving on. And we just killed the business.
How did you? How did that conversation go? Your business partner.
It
You're like,
was
hey.
it was more of like we talked about it towards the end after about like 6 months of literally not doing anything in the business because he hadn't been doing anything for like a year. And I was like,
Oh,
well, I'm just gonna stop doing things. And eventually just stopped and oh well, that's just it wasn't really a conversation like, hey, we're done now. Meaning like let's stop this point forward. It was like, okay, we are literally done now because we're not doing anything.
gotcha. So it just kind of fizzled.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. In the convenience store, did you end up selling that?
I did. I sold it to a sole proprietor. So we were, if somebody would be like, if I want to quit my job and work in there, it would be a good sole proprietor type business. And that's
Hmm.
the person that bought it. He bought it and he didn't run it very well. In fact, he ran it very poorly. But at the same time, it was making profit for somebody like that. But
Hmm.
he also didn't run it very well. Actually, he did a lot of bad things. But anyways, whatever.
Life goes on. Everybody's got their
It
own
does.
path. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. So now with the master passive income, the properties that you're purchasing or that you have purchased, are the majority of them residential rentals or are they commercial rentals?
Yeah, so a different word, residential and multifamily are two different words that really resonates. But at the same time, what I like is the other term is single family homes. So I
Mm,
use single family homes, but it's literally residential, 4 units and 3 units, 12 and one, sorry, 2 and 1. So anything
okay.
from 1 to 4 units is residential. So when I say single family, so if I ever say single family, it means 4 units and below.
All
Once you
right.
get five, once you get 5 units above, apartment complexes, that's multifamily, different mortgages, different insurance, different everything. So yes,
Yeah.
it's 4 units and below. And that's what I teach people because honestly, everybody can buy a house for themselves to live in. It's not that hard. You just find a realtor, you get a mortgage broker, you put them together, you buy a house to live in. It's not that hard. Now, to actually turn into a business. Now, here's the other big thing, James, is the way that I started investing was the wrong way to do it. In fact, I
Mm,
listened to those other quote unquote gurus that they tell you how to invest. This is what they tell you. And I'm going to tell you this really quickly. So hopefully you'll forget it. But this is the wrong way. This is the way that I did it. They say find a property, run the numbers to make sure you're going to make in $50, maybe $100 a month in passive income. Then you find somebody to fix it up, to rehab it. Then you find somebody, a tenant, you find a tenant to put in there. Then you find somebody to manage it. Well, in my opinion, that's almost backwards. It's almost literally backwards. And the reason why is we build the business first. Let me give you an example of what
mhm.
building the business looks like. If you're going to start a convenience store, obviously I understand convenience stores. Ran for a couple of years. It ran for a property, a convenience store for a couple of years. If you're going to start a convenience store, you're not going to lease a location, open the doors, put a box of candy bars in there, and hope to make money. No, you'll lose money and lose, or, basically go out of business in 2 seconds. What you would do though, is you would get everything by building the business. You get the gondolas, or those shelving units that you put everything on. You get the countertops, the cold storage, fountain machines, countertops for the cash registers, bank accounts, employees, insurance. You'll get literally everything in the business before you buy any inventory. See, what those other people tell you, your property is your business. No, 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 no. Your property is your piece of inventory that you put into your business. Remember, I'm a businessman. I love being entrepreneurial. So I looked at this as a business, and I said, how do I build a business and then buy the inventory? So what we do in real estate investing is let's say, anywhere in the country. I literally invest in Ohio, Texas, and Arizona. My students literally invest all over the country. Midwest is a really good area of the country to invest. Down the Carolinas and Florida, really, really great areas to invest. And so we invest thousands of miles away from us, out of state. But what we do is we hire experts on the ground to actually run the business. Now, what this looks like when you're going to be building a business for real estate is you find an area that has inventory. The first thing you need to make sure there's inventory. You don't want to go to some town that literally there's one house there. Well, there's no inventory. You're not going to be able to run a business. You're not going to want to rent it. So we look first for a good city that has good inventory. Types of houses we want to buy, the types of rents that we can bring in, types of tenants we want, all that sort of stuff. And they say, okay, great. This is a good area, a good city that has good inventory. From there, inventory check. We can set that aside. We stop looking at properties. A lot of students would say, hey, Dustin, I found this city. Then I found this realtor. They already sending me like 100 deals. What do I do now? I'm like, well, stop talking to realtors. Stop looking for deals. We don't do deals yet. That's inventory down the line, like way, way far down the line. What we do now is we build the business. What that looks like is we hire the experts. The first one, very, very first expert we find, once we know there's inventory in the area, realtor, I've been told, I say realtor, it's not realtor, it's realtor. Realtors are a dime a dozen, in my opinion. If you're a realtor, I apologize if I hurt your feelings, but they're a dime a dozen.
Totally agree.
The ones that are the diamond in the rough, the ones that are so hard to find, but that are your quarterbacks. If you're thinking about a football team, you want a quarterback that's going to make you money or score for you, protect you, make sure you're moving forward. That's your property manager. So when we're building the business, first thing, inventory, then we pause everything. We make sure we find a property manager. That's our expert. Then once we find the property manager, we interview property. There's a whole process. Like, this is a big deal. I'm going to quickly jump out of property manager, but I will say this is the biggest deal. My first property manager started stealing from me within 6 months. It was horrible. Now I figured out how to find the right ones. I have a list of 25 questions that people need all my students ask them, how to interview them, all that sort of stuff. So this is a big deal, but I'll quickly jump into, so you get your property managers first. Once you find your property managers, then you start finding your mortgage brokers, because you need to have money to be able to do that. You need to find private money, hard money, seller financing. You need to start figuring out other ways to get financing, not just your own cash. That's another thing. Then what we do is we find contractors, inspectors, plumbers, roofers. We're finding insurance agents, all these other things in the business. And then once we have that set, then we go and find, and if you're thinking about still the football analogy, I look for my wide receivers, which are my realtors. Realtors, they go out and they find deals. Once you have your business built, then that's when inventory comes to you and you say, I like that piece of inventory, buy it, put it in my business. I don't like that one, don't like that one. Ooh, I like that one, buy it, put it in my business. And then I have a fully running business that is accounting for. Now, here's the big thing, James, that everybody needs to take away from this. As you're building the business, we need to make sure that we're making money in passive income of $250 or more every single month. If you remember what I said, a lot of other people tell you, well, make sure you're making $50 or $100 a month in passive income. Well, if you think about it, $100 is only $1,200 a year in passive income. If you have one furnace go out, that's going to eat up all your repair budget as well as dip into your passive income. What if you have, let's say, a furnace go out at the same time, or a water heater, or a roof, or if you have, $1,200 doesn't go very far, especially if you have a vacancy. That's going to be eaten up very fast. What I shoot for, and what I tell all my students, is a minimum of $250 a month in passive income. Now, what that looks like, and this is how you easily scale your business. So you buy one house that makes you $250 a month in passive income. That's $3,000 a year in passive income without working. If you buy 10 properties that make you $250 a month, that's $2,500 a month without working, $30,000 a year without working. 20 properties is $5,000 a month. 20 properties is $60,000 a year in passive income without working. And so with that, we have a huge buffer in case there's any big expenses. We can pay for our bills for our family. We can invest more. But that's the biggest thing, because here's what people do wrong, in my opinion. They have invest for appreciation. They say, oh yeah, I like a little bit of passive income, but I go for appreciation. Well, if I would have done that back in 2006, when I first started investing, which a lot of people were investing back then, and 2008 and 2009 crashed, you're going to see, or if you ask anybody who started investing back there, more than likely, if they went bankrupt, if they say, oh, I lost everything, it's because they were doing it wrong by investing for appreciation.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. They were trying to invest for appreciation. And what happens is that appreciation is gone. You go from a house that's worth 200,000 down to a house that's worth 100,000. And then you're like, oh, I can't make my mortgage payment. And then you're stuck. But here's what I did. No matter if the market goes up, if the market goes down, or if the market goes sideways, because I said, I don't care about appreciation. It's great when it's there. In fact, I use it not to sell the house. I refinance it, pull the cash out in equity, a no tax loan, tax-free loan to buy more properties, which is great. But these houses that I own, it's hard for me to sell them, James, because these kids in the background, I will literally give these properties to my kids. And with all of that, because I make money in passive income, when the market crashed, yes, of course, the value of my homes, like let's say I bought them here, whatever price, let's say $150,000. It dropped to, let's say $80,000, maybe got cut in half, but my passive income stayed the same, because people might say, well, wouldn't rents go down too? I'm like, no, absolutely not. What happens when there's a lot of foreclosures? A lot more renters. Pool of renters go up because they don't own a house anymore, but everybody needs a place to live. Pool of renters go up. Supply's not there. In fact, I'm just buying more properties as I can. And so I'm offering them houses back to them and say, hey, you can rent this house now. And then I make money. But that's the biggest thing. We focus on passive income, and everything else actually takes care of itself, because we have our oh man, I'm talking a lot, but I got one more thing I want to say. Okay, good. There's one more thing I want to share with you, James, is that I don't pay there's a lot more, but this is one thing I want to add right now in this little segment. I don't pay my taxes. I don't pay my insurance. I don't pay my property manager. I don't pay for repairs. I don't pay for any of that stuff. My tenants pay for all of that. Now, it so happens the money comes through me and goes out and pays for all that, but I don't have to get a job to pay for my property manager. A lot of people ask me, they say, Dustin, how do you afford a property manager? I'm like, I account for that expense before I buy the property, because I know I'm already going to have that expense. And then I don't have to go get a job. I don't have to eat into my passive income. And so that's the great thing. And the great thing about rental properties is all you do is you add up your expenses: mortgage, taxes, insurance, property manager fees, repairs, vacancy, all that up. You add up all your expenses. That's your fixed expense for every single month. Then you make sure, and remember, you ask your experts that are on the ground, the property manager, here's a property I'd like to buy. How much can it rent for? They'll say, oh, hey, great, Dustin. I have a house right around the corner. It's renting for $1,300. If it's a relatively the same shape, you could probably get $1,300 for it. Like, great. I know my expenses are $1,000. My property manager said he knows he can get $1,300. Well, that difference is $300 in passive income with everything else accounted for. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the name of the game, I guess, even with my businesses, that's it. You know your expenses, even the taxes, like you mentioned, and all that jazz. The business pays for those because they're accounted for in the expenses to figure out whether you're profitable or not.
Absolutely.
That bottom line was that number on the bottom after you take out all that stuff.
Before you do anything, like any business that I create now, because I learned this from way back when. I've created businesses where I was like, oh my goodness, I'm losing money. I should have figured out how to make profit first. And so that obviously there's a book now, like back in 2006, this book wasn't come out, but Profit First is a pretty popular book. I haven't read it, but I just literally, okay, good. I've been told it's really, really good book. I just have literally implemented that ever since, figuring it out back in 2006. But every business that I create now, I literally put that profit in there because I know I don't want to lose money. So I
Mm-hmm.
make sure that is an expense item in every business so I can rip that out and have everything else paid for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. Profit First is a good book. I feel like it could have been a paragraph, but
You too? I mean, I
yeah.
was like, why do I need to read a book on it? I mean, there's probably great
Well, we
stuff
went
in
to
it,
pay
but
$20 for a paragraph. So it's just the values in the book, but it's one of those like I'm reading this saying, I get it. I get it.
yeah,
I remember
yeah.
it's a great book because I think it was well written, all that kind of stuff. But the Cliff Notes, I think I marked the one paragraph in there that defined what they wanted to do with the different bank accounts and the percentages going. Like
Yeah,
this book was for that one paragraph, maybe it was two paragraphs, whatever. It could have been way shorter.
that's
But
hilarious.
that said, it was game changer for my business,
Oh yeah,
from a perspective, but also just the mechanics of how you do it.
yes,
Instead of just having everything in one bank account and being like, looks like I'm rich. So I get my
absolutely,
tax bill.
absolutely. Oh yeah. Well, the great thing also about real estate. So if anybody is making any money at all, like a decent amount of money, and you're like, oh my goodness, I got lots of taxes, you need to find the value of depreciation in a real estate asset. Oh my goodness. Like, okay, I'll quickly go over 6 ways that I make money investing in real estate. If I buy
Mhm.
one rental property, just one rental property, I already talked about passive income. Brilliant. Love it. That's how we feed our family. Passive income. Next one is equity capture. I'm an investor, so I don't pay market value. Let's say the value is worth $150,000. I'll try to buy it for $120,000. Now,
All
I'm
right.
not breaking the person's arm to make them sell it to me. If it works for them, then I'll buy it for them at that price. If it doesn't, they'll move on and I'll find another price, another house. So I'll try to capture, like, let's say $20,000, $30,000 in equity right then and there. Another way is I try to get forced appreciation. I fix it up. I, paint and carpet and all that sort of stuff. And I make the value more because it's better property. We also know that market appreciation, just an everyday things that we all know, market goes up. In fact, in Phoenix, where I live, the real estate market's been up 20% in the last year, which is ridiculous in my opinion, but we know appreciation goes up. At the same time, another one is tax advantages. Depreciation is amazing. I'll quickly go over depreciation in just a
Yeah.
second. I'll finish the last one, then I'll quickly go over depreciation. The
Mhm.
last way we make money in real estate investing is by mortgage buy down. Now, mortgage buy down is amazing because I buy a house, I put a little bit of down payment. Let's say, easy numbers. If somebody's getting started in this, let's say they're going to buy a house in America with an FHA loan, 3.5% down. Oh my goodness, 3.5% down is fantastic. Let's say you buy a
Three and a
duplex.
half. That's it.
Yes, that's 3.5% down.
Wow.
It's fantastic. Let's say you buy a duplex for $200,000. That's only, what is that? That's $7,000. We can work hard and save, get an extra job, do some side hustles, save that $7,000, buy that house. Then we live in it with that FHA loan because we have to live in one unit, but we have another unit that's actually making us money. Long story short, all of the rest of, because you're now going to start renting that out. After a year, you can move out and you can have 2 units that are being rented. Your tenants, this is the mortgage buy down. You only paid $7,000 for a house that's worth $200,000. They're paying all the principal and taxes and everything else, management, all that stuff, but they're paying the rest of the, like, what is that? $193,000 they're paying off plus the interest as well. But I'll quickly go
Mhm.
back to depreciation. Depreciation is amazing because what happens is you buy that same duplex, you have it as a depreciating asset. We know it appreciates. IRS, the wealthy people that created the IRS tax laws made it so us wealthy people who invest in real estate can not defer. We basically take that purchase price, that $200,000, and
Mhm.
we have that deducted over 27.5 years. So it looks like over the 27.5 years, whatever portion out every single month, every single year it comes out, instead of making, let's say we make $150,000, it drops by, let's say, $10,000. So it only looks like we're making $140,000. But let's say you had 20 properties doing that. It makes it look like you're making almost nothing because the depreciation is so great. All
All
that to
right.
say, you need depreciation. If you're making any bit of money that you're worried about taxes, depreciation is amazing.
And the main, help me out with the depreciation now. So the 27 and a half years, that's the federal? Or is that the longest you can depreciate something?
Correct. Well, you could also expedite it or make it
Okay.
faster, but yes, the longest, as far as I'm not an accountant.
Okay.
I'm telling what accounts told me and how
Yeah.
they help me with my business.
Right.
But yeah, 27 and a half years for a real estate asset. You depreciate it over all that entire time.
So in your case, what you found is that you get a property, rent it out, and then keep that property. You're not
100%.
flipping properties.
No, well, it's too much work.
Okay.
It's too much work. And I'll tell you this, James. So a lot of people have read the book 4 Hour Work Week. Well,
Oh yeah.
oh my goodness. Yeah. It's for suckers though. I don't want to work 4 hours a week. I don't even work 30 hours, or sorry, I don't work 30 minutes a day. I don't work 30 minutes a week. I barely maybe work 30 minutes a month on all my business, my real estate investing business. I just pull up my property management statement. I look at it and I say, hey, everything looks good. They're already following my business rules. They're my managers and my employees for my business, not necessarily employees, contractors technically. But long story short, I look at the statement and say, hey, everything looks good. Put it aside, go back to play with my kids, or getting on podcasts like you, or with you. And so 30 minutes literally at most. That's literally the most. Sometimes it's like 10 minutes. I'm hey, looks great. Put it aside, because I literally don't do anything, because I've hired employees or contractors. And remember, when I said build the business first, a part of it also is setting up systems and processes and procedures in that business so that it runs without me. I don't want to talk to tenants. I barely even want to talk to my property manager. Like if I get a call from my property manager, I'm like, oh crap, I don't want to talk. Like, I don't want to hear from you. All I want is my check every single month, or my deposit in my bank account, and talk to you on Christmas and say, hey, how is everything? You're doing great. Bye. Boom. I don't want to talk to you. You do my business well. And so literally I go months without talking to my property managers because everything's going well. I don't need to. So all that to say, I don't work 30 minutes a day, a week, maybe a month. It's just so great because, well, here's one thing. People might ask, well, hey, Dustin, it seems like, 30 minutes a month. Can I just jump right into that? Or is that hard to get to? Well, here's the thing about investing in real estate. And this is why I teach this. I show people how to do this. All my YouTube channel, where I literally just give this stuff away for free. My podcast, Master Passive Income. It's just use that name everywhere. But anyways, I'm just literally showing this stuff because it's so much fun to teach, so much fun to show people. I give all this away. And the reason why is because I want to show other people to do this as well. And as I'm doing this, I'm learning how to do my business better. I'm showing them how to do their business. Now, what is great with all of this coaching that I'm doing with Master Passive Income, it's now another stream of revenue coming in as well, which is great. But all that goes back into my real estate. That's literally, I hold everything in real estate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess to answer the question that you mentioned, someone asked, like, can I just flip a switch and essentially be working 30 minutes a month? You got to build into that, I imagine. That's
thank you, James.
Not the first rung of the ladder.
No, I literally lost track of what I was going, and all of a sudden, like, wow, I had a point there, but it's gone.
No
I'm
worries,
glad you brought it back up. Okay, so the point is, people might say, well, actually, a lot of my students, they come to me and say, hey, Dustin, this building the business is hard. Like, you told me you only work 30 minutes a month. I'm like, I know, I get it. What it comes down to, the 30 minutes a month at most is after I've built the business. Now, this whole process of building the business, everything that I'm going to talking to you about now, everything I coach, and I have a free course I'd love to give to everybody too, but that as well, it walk you through the process that in building the business, that's the hard part. If you call it hard, it just takes time. It takes work. Just like if you're building a convenience store or any business for that matter, you're going to be interviewing people. You're going to be making sure things are set up. You're going to be calling insurance agents, calling a bank account. You're going to be doing all this. You're going to be doing things, and it takes a lot of work. Now, as I've already built the business, and every single city that I invest in, I build the business. Basically, whole nother businesses everywhere I invest, and my students do the same thing. Because remember, our business has inventory. If our business is in another state, we can't have that same business. And anyways, long story short, we have businesses everywhere. But the hard part is getting started. Now, this is simple. I'll tell you this. There's a difference between simple and easy. This is not easy. If it were easy, literally everybody would do it. I mean, anybody could buy something and sell it on eBay, or create a digital product and put it on, I can't remember what that platform's called, Etsy. Anybody could do that. That is easy. This process, real estate investing, is simple, meaning it's X, Y, Z. You do step one, step two, step three. You do it right. You follow the formula. You're going to do well, but it is hard. Now, hard in a sense where it takes time. Now, here's the hardest part that you're going to run into. It's finding a property manager. Now, I'll tell you this, James, it's so sad. So I have my YouTube channel where I teach, literally, it's just me teaching. Do this, then do this, then do this, and watch out for this. I teach all this real estate investing on my YouTube channel, Master Passive Income. And on there, the property management videos where I teach you how to find property managers, how to make sure you vet them, how to manage them well. Like all those are the worst watched videos out of all, but they're the most important videos they should watch. The ones that are high are the ones like how to get private sellers, how to get private money, how to get hard money, how to get funding, how to get money or properties for no money. I'm like, you guys are starting backwards. Like that's the easy part.
I say it's so funny that you say that, because I'll look, my kid will watch some stupid video of a guy, I don't like trick shots or something like that with millions of views. You'll look at videos where you're essentially giving people, here are literally the steps to take to make money, to be able to leave your job, to have this passive income. And you're like 17 views. Like, whoa.
No, it's sad. I know. I'm like, man, this YouTube nut's a hard nut to crack. Or I don't know, but I think oh well. But what I love to do is with my students, I help them to be patient. The thing is with this real estate investing, just like anything, if you went to school for 4 years, to college for 4 years, let alone all the other years of going to school, if you did that, you can literally do this. Now, I'll tell you the time frame, because people might say, oh man, this is hard. Well, yes, it's a lot of work, but here's what if they start coaching with me, with one-on-one coaching, what they do is by the first month, it's learning and saving money. You should do the same thing. Like if you're thinking about investing, start saving money now. That's a prerequisite. Cut the expenses, get out of debt. Literally do that now. Don't put it off. Do that now. But then let's say somebody starts working with me. In the first month, it's education, it's learning, it's developing that understanding of how to do this business. But what I love to do, because remember, it's a step-by-step X, Y, Z. You do step 1, step 2, step 3. In this process, when I tell them, do this, or this is what you should do, if they do it and implement it, by the time that entire month is over, they've learned it and implemented a lot of the business. So by the second month, once I'm coaching them, so they have the education, second month, we're starting to build the business. That's where we're calling property managers. That's where we're calling up inspectors. We're getting insurance lined up, getting mortgages. We're getting everything in the business to build. So education first, then building the business. Then once we have the business built, by the end of the second month, we are now we're finding realtors, wholesalers. We're getting other property managers sending us deals. That's when the deals come in. So remember, deals, usually people think it's the first thing. No. That's the last thing. We do that the very last. Now, I literally have deals come to my email from wholesalers. I love buying them from wholesalers because they do all the work. I make all the money. So that's the last thing. Once we have deals coming in, then we buy the property, put it into our business. The hard part is the learning and the implementing. But once you have that, like I have businesses all over the country. And when I get an email from a wholesaler that says, hey, here's a property, you want to buy it? I look at the numbers and I say, hey, you're going to make $2,000 or $3,000 from this. I don't care. You're going to make me a ton of money. Let me go ahead and buy it from you. It takes me literally, since I've already done all this work, I had the business built, people already working for me. It literally takes me, okay, look at the email, run the numbers. I've done this for so long. It literally takes me like 30 seconds to do it. And then I'm like, okay, it looks like a good property. Send an email to my property manager and realtor at the same time. Check out this property. Let me know what you think. What does that take? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes at most? Let's be generous, 10 minutes. And then they do all their work, which takes hours, come back to me. You can rent it for this much. This is the type of clientele that you're going to get. This is, property manager. And this is the thing, big key. If a property manager tells you, I will not manage the property, light bulb, I probably shouldn't buy it. And so let me know if you're going to manage the property. All this combined, then I make sure my numbers, again, match up, make sure how much it's going to repair. My property manager can tell me how much it's going to cost to rehab or fix up the property. From there, I look at that email. Remember, 10 minutes at max initially, the first email. Second emails, I get back from them. Let's be generous. Another 10 minutes on each email. Then I say, great, realtor, put in the offer. And then maybe a couple back and forths, another 10 minutes, 10 minutes each, like negotiating, getting the price lower because I'm an investor. Let's say round it up to 30 minutes to buy this one property. Then I go to the bank, or I just do it from my computer and wire the money to the title company, and I'm done. That's literally 30 minutes to buy the house. And now it's making money perpetually until eventually we sell it. So it's work to get the business built. But once the business is built, they do all the work for you and your business pays them. It's just, it's amazing.
Smooth running machine. I like it. You got to tell me as far as financing, because I know that people are going to ask that question, right? Yeah. When you're essentially getting a loan for a property, I mean, is that difficult, or do you have mortgage brokers already set up and they know essentially they're good working with you, so it's all good? Or I guess tell me about that whole aspect of it.
So a lot of people think that if you're going to invest in real estate or even buy a house, you do this process. You basically get one mortgage broker and you get one realtor and you put them together and you buy a house. And then you add in a property manager, which obviously I've already debunked that. I told you the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this one way of getting a mortgage broker and a realtor to buy a house for an investment property, that's only one of loads and loads of ways. In fact, I have one entire video where I show 14 different ways to get financing to buy a house. So I'll give you a quick broad overview.
Mm-hmm.
I've used private money, family and friends. I've used seller financing. I've used signature loans. I've used hard money. I've also used, this is advanced strategy, I used a credit card to buy properties. Now that credit card bought me a great properties that made me a lot of money and I paid back the credit card. It's advanced strategy, but because I knew what I was doing, that I accounted for, that's an expense. Let me make sure, even though it's expense is the interest, I made sure it's paid for. So all these, there's so many, I have many more ways, but there's so many more ways to actually get financing for it. But now if you're thinking just about like a mortgage and a down payment, what we got to do there, what I like to do with my mortgages is I look at mortgages as a commodity. I could just go and find as many of them I can. I literally get four, when I'm going to buy a house, I get 3 or 4 mortgage brokers. I talk to 3 or 4 of them and I have them tell me, you could probably write this down if you want to know this, but the terms, like what's the interest rate's going to be? What is the fees? How many points? Like how much is it going to cost me to actually get this? What are the possible title fees? How much the taxes? I literally ask them every question about all the money it's going to cost from them and how much time it's going to take. It's going to take 30 days. It's going to take 6 months. Like how much it's going to take. And then I ask all 3, 4 mortgage brokers the same exact questions so that I can compare apples to apples. And then I go with the right one, but I also have a backup in case I need to jump over because I don't want to lose a deal. I make sure I go with one and I get the other backup as close to going without going, getting the process started. And quick pro tip. I have all 4 of them, all 4 mortgage brokers, but I do not give them my social security number. So they do not run my credit. What I do, they'll say, oh, I need to run your credit. No, you don't. I know you don't. Just run it as if I had a 780 credit score, because that's what I have. When I'm ready to go with you, I'll give you my credit. And they'll say, oh, okay. But once they have your credit, then they're almost locked in. So long story short, don't do that because that'll dip your credit. But when I go with the one, and have them run my credit, and I always have a backup ready to go. And at the same time, here's another pro tip. At the same time, I have them run the credit at the same time because it's the same credit. One hasn't hit the other. It won't see the other. Long story short, they're hitting at the same time. And I have one ready to go, but one that's already going. So I always want to back up. I love being proactive in this business as opposed to reactive. When you're reactive, you have 2 choices, bad and worse. When you're proactive, you have lots and lots of choices, lots and lots of options. And also, quick note that all these different ways to do financing, you can even couple them together, piece them together, figure out, oh, I need a little bit of this over here, private money, a little bit of mortgage, or a little bit of hard money, a little bit of seller finance. You can do this. It's called creative financing, and it's terrific. Real estate's just so amazing that it's just life changing.
Nice. That's cool. I like it, man. We've eaten up some time here. That's cool.
Oh,
how can people find you, Dustin?
Thanks. Well, so actually, I have a free real estate investing course. Do you mind if I?
Oh, awesome! Yeah, send it.
Yeah,
or tell us about it. How to find it?
Yeah. So if you text the word rental, RENTAL, to 33777, rental to 33777. I'll give you my real estate investing course literally for free. I just want to help you out, show you how to find an area of the country to invest, how to build the business first, make sure you're making passive income, make sure you're doing it right without losing money, scaling your business, all that sort of stuff. It's a downloadable. You'll be able to get it and digest it. I've had students literally just take that, become successful. So get that. You could also go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. All one word, /free course. But then also I have my podcast, Master Passive Income Podcast, YouTube channel, Master Passive Income. It's literally, I don't really do interviews. It's just me teaching, like literally. And here's the interesting thing, James. I can literally teach anybody how to invest in real estate. I've taught hundreds and hundreds of students. I can literally teach anybody how to do this, but getting them over that hurdle, just like me with my story of getting laid off, that catalyst that jumped me into saying, I'm doing it. I can't do this. I need to give away all this free content in order for them to realize, yes, they can do it. So just, digest all that stuff. I also have a great a podcast as well, just a fun passion project called Successfully Unemployed, where I interview great people who are successfully unemployed in different ways, investing, side hustles, freelancing, all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, anyways, you can find me all over the place.
Nice. That's awesome. Dustin, I appreciate you being on the show. So just as a reminder, if they text the word rental to 33777, that'll get it, as well as masterpassiveincome.com/free course.
Yes.
That is super awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you having me on the show, James. It's been fun. I just love talking about this stuff.
It's, I'll tell you, when you kind of cross the bridge or get over the mountain, so to speak, or something like that, where you're actually successful with a business, it makes you, or at least it makes me, want to share that knowledge with people.
Yeah.
There's it's kind of sending the elevator back down, so to speak.
It is. And here's one thing that a good friend of mine told me. His name's Adam Carroll. He's a public speaker and everything, but he told me this, that in life, what we want to do is we want to leave legacies. And there are 4 main legacies in our lives. Number 1, we want a money legacy. Now that money legacy is where we have enough money to do whatever we want. The next one is time legacy, where you can have enough time to do whatever you want. The next one after that is relationship legacy, where you have solid relationships. You get time, so you have enough money to have the time and the time to have the relationships. The last one, like you just said, James, is a service legacy. That service legacy is now, I feel so much better when I'm helping my students than I ever did buying my own properties. I feel so much better when they are buying their first property, or they're quitting their job, or helping have family that needs a good place to rent at a good price. I love serving people. So service legacy, if everybody watching or listening to this can ever get there, getting that service legacy, it's just so fulfilling. The more I serve, the better I feel, the more money I make, and the better everybody else feels, and the more money they make. So long story short, trying to get that service legacy is just brilliant. Yeah,
it's fun. It's so much fun. I know the business coaching stuff that I do, when you see clients, like you see they started their store, they started their business, they hired their first employee, they got whatever new chunk of software, they're making money, having fun. Yeah, that is a great feeling.
It's so cool. Yes, it's very, very it's so awesome.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks for being on the show, Dustin. This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We're underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie locally. If you're listening to this on the web, please do us a huge favor. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and of course, share it with all your entrepreneurial or soon-to-be entrepreneurial friends. My name is James Kademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for service businesses across the country on the web at callsoncall.com. As well as Draw In Customers Business Coaching, offering business coaching services for entrepreneurs looking for growth on the web at drawincustomers.com. And of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur in all of us, available wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Dustin Heiner, the founder of Master Passive Income. And Dustin, can you remind us again where they should send that text to get that free goodies?
Absolutely. Rental to 33777.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night. Podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.